channel, Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. You know what? We've had time now to digest the loss from yesterday. We've had chances to get the emotion out to the issues that we're having with our 1-7 New York Giants. And you can either feel good about this loss or you can feel like, you know what, we are on the same track. We are 1-7. We are only one game better than the Jets. It's really going to how you look at it as perspective. And my perspective is we're 1-7. We're halfway through the season. We got 8 games left. We've won 1 game, and we were lucky to win that game. And if Ron Rivera would have smartened himself up and kicked the extra point, we probably would have lost that game, and we would have been tied for the Jets and Trevor Lawrence. But you know what? We have to look at this team from, and I've said this before. I like movies, and I like Apollo 13 was a good movie. Apollo 13, I enjoyed it because Ed Harris, who was the chief guy at NASA at the time, he's the launch control dude, and the ship has its issue, and Ed Harris goes, we need to take a look at this in reference to status. What do we have that's good on the ship? And that's kind of the way we have to look at the Giants. What do we have that is good on the Giants? But before we get into that, I wanted to get into Will Hernandez. I have been screaming this now for almost a year. And it's not a slight against Will Hernandez completely, but when Will played good or well in his rookie season, Nate Solder was not terrible. He was serviceable. And in year 2, when Will Hernandez played, much worse than his rookie season, he went into a sophomore slump. Then Nate Solder had issues as well, had more issues, had monumental issues. And the first, 7 games of the season, Andrew Thomas has looked lost, has looked like he is a bust of a pick. We can say it. But then you take Will Hernandez out of the game and put another rookie alongside of Andrew Thomas, and Andrew Thomas is moving guys off the line. That side of the line, at times, if you watch, they were getting a good, 2-yard push off the line against Tampa. And Tampa's got the number 1, run-stopping defense. Number 1 defense against the run. And these two guys, they were moving the pile. And on that touchdown, who was the guy that pushed him into the end zone? It was our old buddy Andrew Thomas. So I think we need to, take a look at the Will Hernandez factor, I'm calling it. Maybe, and like I've said this before, if you don't trust your line mate, the guy sitting next to you, the guy on the side of you, you're gonna have issues. If your line mate is missing his assignments and hanging you out to dry, that's gonna reflect on you. And you have to remember, as a tackle, you're on the outside. So you got your guard on the inside, and if your guard on the inside's not helping you on the inside rush and the inside moves, or helping you move the pile, you're going to get hung out to dry. And a lot of times last year, and I even said it, and people called me crazy, it looked like Nate was, in some ways, being put out on an island because of Will Hernandez. And I think in some regards, if you take a look at, the issues that Andrew Thomas had, they all seem to disappear. Not all of them, but the majority of them seemed to disappear yesterday when he started alongside Shane Lemieux. And that's interesting that you had 2 rookies on that line, and that side of the line played better than the other side of the line with Kevin Zeidler. And Kevin Zeidler and his penalty. And how does Nick Gates, as a center, keep getting called for holding penalties? How is that? How many times have you seen the center get called for a holding penalty? The only time you ever really hear the center's name is when he fumbles the snap. But we need to take a look at this Will Hernandez issue. I think Will, and like I said, I know Will Hernandez is a strong guy and he's got a mean streak, coming out of college, but he's not moving the pile. I was literally stunned watching some of the film, because I went back and watched some of the film again, and I used my XOS digital replay system and keyed in on both Andrew Thomas and Shane Lemieux, and they were moving the pile, man. They were plowing the road. And even Andrew Thomas's pass defense was much better. And I when I mean by pass defense, I mean his ability to block during passing plays. He wasn't getting, and he was going up against JPP, and JPP was not looping around him. And my biggest concern coming to this game was JPP was going to abuse Andrew Thomas. That he was going to loop around him, do a speed rush, do a swim move, and go around him on the outside and come back and come get Daniel Jones. One of the Dan Jones sacks, he basically just fell into the defensive player. And then another one was a coverage sack. But like I said, it is very interesting that that side of the line played extremely well without Will Hernandez. And I have been saying this, Will Hernandez at times is a liability at his guard position. And like I said, when he's hanging, I've said it before last year, he hung Nate Solder out to dry a bunch of times. And I have a feeling that he's kind of doing the same thing. And he's not doing it intentionally. I don't want anyone to think that he's intentionally doing these things. It's just, if you even watch the continuity of the game, the Eagles game, it just wasn't there between those two. There was not a simpatico relationship. It just seemed that Andrew Thomas didn't trust Will Hernandez, and he seemed to put more trust and more faith in the other rookie, Shane Lemieux. I thought it was funny. At one point in time, they had 3 rookies on the line because Matt Parrott was on the line. Parrott was on the line at one point in time as well. So you had Matt, Shane, and Andrew all playing on the same line together. So the funny thing is, if these guys on the line start gelling and start having some continuity, and they look like they're fairly good draft choices, and then he also signed the alpha male Nick Gates, do you really start considering getting rid of Dave Gettleman? Because he may have just filled potentially 4 out of the 5 line spots. I mean, and then, like I said, you have to look at this defense as well. Dave Gettleman is the architect putting this defense together. Now, the Isaac Yiadom trade is not working out. The Isaac Yiadom should just be put on a bus somewhere. Yeah, people are like, well, he had 8 tackles. Yeah, because Tom Brady was picking on him. he was picking on him like a kid on the playground. And that's what I think is funny. But, Dave Gettleman really is the architect of this defense. He put these guys together. He brought in Bradbury, outside of the 2 bad passes. They were pass interference penalties. Outside of those pass interference penalties, Bradbury's been a gem. Blake Martinez has shown that he's a 3-down linebacker. And I hate to admit it, but Leonard Williams has played well. And Leonard Williams is showing that he is a 3-down lineman and that he can move the pile and get to the rush. I mean, would I still sign Leonard Williams next year? No. But like I said, it's, that those draft choices and those draft assets he gave up aren't looking terrible. And honestly, even the Jason Garrett hire, Jason Garrett is actually and I hate to admit, I never called it a clapper or anything, but Jason Garrett, Gene Cranston, he was the mission control guy. That's what it is, Gene Cranston, mission control guy. That's Apollo 13, sorry. But Jason Garrett, he's been a guy that's kind of been a revelation as an offensive coordinator. And it's interesting because he seems to be finally figuring out his personnel, his defensive personnel. And I think that's what you need. Now, the whole issue with this equation, of course, is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, and I've said it before, he has his moments of brilliance, and then he has these moments of you're just like, what the hell is this guy thinking? And we're gonna have to come down these last 8 games of the season and see if Daniel Jones is our guy. Because honestly, I can't tell you if he is or he isn't right now. Because like I said, he has these maddening moments of brilliance, but then he has these issues of and people say, well, Eli Manning had the same thing. No, Eli Manning was always that even keel. Daniel Jones makes stupid mistakes. Eli Manning made dumb mistakes too, but Daniel Jones, it's like he doesn't learn from his mistakes. He doesn't learn that. I mean, it's just, we have to have an honest evaluation of Daniel Jones these last 8 games of the season. And we have to see what we have in reference to the quarterback situation going into the draft. And that's all there is to it. I mean, and like I said, then we have to make an assessment from there. But then, like I said, the big question is, if Dave Gettleman has found 4 of your 5 starters in your offensive line, can restock the skill position, and has built this defense, do you get rid of him? That's a bigger question. I think that's going to be another video we're going to have to take a look at. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could like, if you could subscribe, if you could ring that play thing, you know what it means, that'd be awesome.